Right. Mr. Wilding, you've just arrived in time to sit down at the front because we're all ready to go.
Right. You're ahead of time.
We are ahead of time. Don't be surprised, but it is as gobsmacking to me as it is to you.
I have a voluminous set of materials, 20 in accordance with instructions. Please,
What?
I won't read them.
You're joking. Someone told you to bring 20 copies.
20 copies was the...
But we do everything electronically now.
Seemingly not.
Eh? Eh?
Did we not have him?
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah, oh sorry.
Somebody can help hand these out.
Yep. Somebody. I'm just surprised.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, look, any funding's welcome. Thank you. You can look out the back if you want. You do. I regret to say that this is additional.
Do you want some water just in case?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And beside me is Wendy Carpenter, who is the Secretary of the Association. I just wish to acknowledge the attendance of some of those involved in primarily the management committee of the association. And I wish to thank you all for your time. I've seen your schedule. It's impressive. So I'll try and be relatively brief. I just want to touch on three issues. And the first is the Council's Strategic Transport Plan 2012 to 2042. Which is the plan intended to set the shape of transport for 30 years. Your council inherited that plan, and its genesis was in the late 2000s prior to the earthquake, and at a time when, of course, traffic was quite different, values and understanding of environmental and health issues was quite different. It suffers in our submission from a range of problems. A prime example is that it seeks to facilitate freight movements across the city and introduces new routes. And in fact, there is only one new freight route introduced, and it happens to be from Barrington across through our area. And it did this without extraordinarily a health assessment of the adverse effects of putting diesel heavy vehicles in high volume through a residential area. And that deficiency has been confirmed to me by the Canterbury District Health Board and the Public Officer of Health. And that is quite startling because, of course, when you look at major transport projects, they invariably involve some sort of an assessment. And we are concerned that the plan fails to properly reflect the voluminous health problems which are associated, noise, pollution. And the back of our submission, Appendix A, sets out a summary of that up until about the end of 2017. The first document in the bundle before you is the introductory paper to the World Health Organisation's review of the adverse health effects of transport. And it's had plans directed at those effects for decades. It's reviewing them. It's published in 2018, a suite of papers, and the effects are concerning. Increased dementia risks, increased myocardial infarction risk, increased stroke risk, increased ADHD in children, 4% increased death risk, and these are big studies. 8.6 million people in the study by the Imperial College in London, 6.5 million health records in Canada. Big studies. So we submit that the plan first needs to reflect those. Second, it's apparent that in setting the freight route, consideration wasn't given to the deterrent effect of such traffic on walking and cycling. And the NZTA, in one of its high-level documents, says particularly that, quote, reducing traffic and speed has the highest priority, as it not only benefits pedestrians but can also improve safety, air quality, noise, enhancing the environment for others in the areas. It contributes to the less quantifiable quantity of streetscape. Third, there is research showing that children 14 and younger lack the perceptual skills to cross busy streets, and yet here we have routes which go past areas with homes and schools. And we need a city, not just in our area, but as a whole, where children can walk and cycle safely. And the major cycleways are obviously a good initiative, but as the NZTA makes clear in its guide, cycling starts from home and ends from home, and people should be able to cycle on the direct routes available. It's not the cyclists who need to deter. It's obviously out of step with the now draft government policy statement on land transport, and I've just put the brief front page introduction to that in tab 2 of our submission, but you'll be aware that that favours significantly health, the environment and modal change. It's also inconsistent with overseas patterns. We have cities and countries as diverse as Australia, France, Japan, Spain, United Kingdom, with mayors and councils making decisions to restrict heavy vehicles and high volume vehicles in urban areas. And yet, if we implement this plan undiluted, we are doing the opposite. And some of those places, London's had a specific noise policy which includes transport since 2016. A number of these places have policies which haven't been considered to be effective. They've been challenged successfully by the courts. You'll be familiar, perhaps, Madam Mayor, with the Client Earth suite of proceedings in the European Union, where a number of policies, both within and outside of the UK, have been struck down. We've got domestically, of course, the $20 million spent on the Wellington Basin flyover, which was ended essentially by a board of inquiry and then the High Court because account wasn't taken of alternatives to congestion nor heritage. And those are factors of which account's also not taken in this plan. Change is possible, and I raise that because it was said to us in communication that it wouldn't, and I just wish to be clear, and it's in tab 3 of the document before you, page 107, what the independent hearing panel said, having identified the various different routes, including the strategic freight network and the strategic road network, is, quote, these networks are not specifically shown in the district plan as they will be subject to change over time. However, they are an important part of the transport network and they will be considered. So you have an opportunity to reflect 21st century values within this plan. You're progressing a business case. You have been for over a year, and in our submission there ought to be consideration to change, and that includes operational change. For example, your Infrastructure, Transport and Environment Committee receives bi-monthly reports which include accident rates, but wouldn't it be good if they included health issues as well arising from transport? Wouldn't it be good if the people in CTOC were aware of health issues which might arise on particular roads? And that was taken into account in management. Second topic, our area. First, we wish to acknowledge and thank you for the project which is currently being gone on in our area. We understand with the goal of helping reduce the number of vehicles and also restrict heavy vehicles. We were concerned to see and a little surprised to see that there wasn't a specific project or budget in the long-term plan, especially since our understanding from correspondence from the council is that reports are going to be available this month and presumably decisions being made. We've deferred our action pending that. So this submission part is really to say thank you, but to talk about what the roads might look like and when. And I wish to just address first a misconception, which is that the roads now are how they've always been. They haven't been like this. The traffic has built up substantially, especially in the last 15 years. Post-earthquake, the then transport manager of the council, in a statement to the press, said that this was the route which had the greatest increase in traffic. And of course, that necessarily was because of the damage to the east and the increasingly dispersed plans. It was also said that measures would be taken, but that they would be temporary and intended to be reversed once other roads became repaired. And a number of people we've spoken to in the community are still saying to us that, yes, I'm getting vibrated and woken, but it's all just temporary. Well, if it is temporary, please do tell us. No one's actually come out and confirmed that advice, and our fear is that it just might not be. And in terms of volumes, Straven Road, single lane each way, 2016, was carrying over 24,000 vehicles per day. Gasson Street, commercial, 4 lane, 16,000 vehicles per day. This is an extraordinary amount to pump down single lane residential roads. And document 4 has some photos, if I could turn to those. The top photo is what the intersection looked like in 2004 before the works. That photo is actually taken from a Becker pre-works report the council obtained. Nothing edited about it. Below is an example of what a Wilson's Road roundabout looks. There are plenty, and if you turn the page, that is what the intersection looks like now. And below is a 44-ton freight train, and these have been followed, which go from a Matpo yard to access the northern motorway. This can't be right in a residential area, and is it any wonder that a community is concerned? Obviously, there was no assessment of health implications. The deterrent effect of this sort of transport wasn't taken into account, but the council, to its credit, last year acknowledged that these roads, Glandovey, Heaton, Idris and Straven, are not safe for those under 10 to cycle on. Extraordinary when you think they service schools including St Patrick's, Fenelton Open Air, Boys High, Girls High, University of Canterbury, Waimari, number of kindergartens. Extraordinary when we know that this council favours modal shift, and we support the council in that. But we've got to be able to practice it around our homes, where our families live, and on the roads on which we live. The intersection at Glandovey Idris has particular problems, and the problem really was that too much was compressed into too little. And this can be seen from staff emails. Unnamed staff member quote is willing to compromise in lane width in order to get the signals installed. The design can be modified at a later stage if there are problems, end quote. There are a number of those comments. And when you look at it, you will see that there are an awful lot of lanes and an awful lot of traffic compared to other roads which have high traffic volumes. There's just simply not the space. You will have, I hope, because the council's had it since last year, the Acoustic Research Unit, University of Canterbury noise modelling, multi-site, 24 hours over a number of days on the intersection, which reported back that the noise escalated from 4:30 in the morning, which is the first 44-tonne freight vehicle, through to after 11 p.m. at night, which is the last one, that during those times it was in excess of World Health Organization standards. It is at a level that produces the health risks in the research. You will have, I hope, the letter from the Medical Officer of Health, who, on having a look at that research, wrote to the council and said that there was an issue with the traffic volumes and freight. Can I take one more minute? Thank you. Engagement. We've had a difficult time engaging. I have in tab 9 a document which I hope you'll read, which at paragraph 38 just sets out the struggle some people and communities have in being understood, because it's apparent to us there is siloing between departments going on. But can I just leave you with this final thought? We want a city that's safe and healthy for everyone, and I'm sure you do too. It's not a one-way street. Our goal's been, by Becker Heritage Week this year, to have an open series of walks through houses and gardens, to do so in conjunction with the board and the council, to have a cycle to school day. I know you've run them before, involving all the local schools. There are people behind me who will embrace this. We wish to be involved in helping plant along the streets, plant along the build-outs, and once we've done it and seeded it in this area, we want to go and help do it in other areas, because the problems this city's facing are too big to have divides between communities, boards and the council. We want to work with you. We actually think that our values and goals are going in the same direction, but through a sheer set of unfortunate circumstances, and this was the last of the intersections done pursuant to this plan, we've ended up in a different situation. And so please, let's just work together and sort this out, and let's do it this year.
I suspect it's not the only set of traffic lights that have caused your problem. I think the original decision to put the traffic lights onto Pendleton Road at the other end of Glandovey Road was the beginning of what then was exacerbated post-earthquakes. And I know that staff at the time were opposed to the traffic lights going in there, but it was, the plan. So look, you've put a challenging submission in front of us. I appreciate the fact that you've used the LTP to come and articulate that. We'll get the message out clearer next time. We've become paperless. We've saved heaps of money by going paperless, and saved lots of trees from having to be cut down as a result. But you've really given us a lot of detail and a lot of stuff for us to analyse and go through. But we've got work to do. Thank you very much. Much appreciated.
Thank you.